Hey everyone, my name is Taps and welcome to my channel where I talk about Ecomi, VeVe, NFTs, crypto, and everything in between. Today we have a very exciting guest with us today, so help me in welcoming VeVe content creator OG, OMI homie, and they don't want to be great, but we do, Cavell Anderson. What's up, bro?
Hey, how's it going, man? Thanks for having me. Definitely appreciate it.
Of course, man. This is actually, I guess, version 2, right? I came on your stream, I think, last month. And we talked forever about the VeveVerse, and it was a super valuable conversation. So I'm happy to have you now on my stream, so the community can kind of hear, some of our go back and forth and kind of get to a little bit about what we've seen from 2021 and 2022 moving on.
Oh, definitely. It sounds like a great conversation.
Yeah, man. You're in the Windy City, right? You're in Chicago.
Yeah, definitely. Born and raised.
Is it snowing like crazy already?
Nah, it's actually not. It's kind of chilly, but yeah, it's been taking longer to snow as of recently. Like it usually happens later on now.
Oh wow, yeah,
like in January or something, January, February.
I've been to Chicago like 8 times. Like it's one of my favorite cities to go to. Like the food's great, the bars are great. Like St. Patty's Day is wild. Like I've been there quite a bit, but I'm actually from the Midwest, I'm from Michigan, so it's like 3 hours away from my South Michigan hometown.
Oh yeah, that's right down the street.
Yeah, man. But and shout out to everyone in the audience. Thanks for hopping in to be a part of the community. We're going to talk about a lot around Ecomi and VeVe today. I see some heavy hitters in here as well. Daniel Lee. We've got NFT Pirates. I saw Dan Schaubel in here. A couple others hopping in. Randy Chavez I saw a minute ago. Paint Life. Thanks, everyone. Hit that like button. Let the community know that we're here. We're going to be getting into it. And yeah, but how's your week been? Did you have a chance to land a polar bear?
Oh yeah, I actually did. I got the polar bear. That was my first drop that I got in like a month or so, like a little over a month. I haven't been getting drops as of recently. Yeah, I haven't been able to land anything. But to be fair, I stopped using my my Ethernet to my iPhone. I guess I stopped trying hard. I haven't been as interested in a lot of the drops. So yeah, I haven't tried hard. But I mean, even without doing it, I was able to get the globe. So I was happy about that one because I actually wanted that globe. So yeah. And I recently picked up a Deadpool as well. What about you?
So I missed on the Deadpool, but I did pick one up, and I agree so I did get a polar bear. I got the common, which I was like, cool. Like I actually like the common a lot better, and I do believe like it's Coca-Cola. I mean, I know there's other Coca-Cola NFTs out there, but this is going to be one of the series drops, and so that polar bear is like pure nostalgia. Like all those commercials, all that. So like I think that's one that even at the 150 or whatever the price is, like don't sleep on it. If you don't have a polar bear or a couple polar bears, like definitely get some.
Exactly. That was my thoughts too.
Shout out for the super chat, Randy. He doesn't have the Rona. Congrats. He's been sick, so happy to see that. Thanks, Randy. But yeah, we're gonna get into all the Ecomi and VeVe stuff, but I wanted to like start it off with like a little fun kickoff. So I'm gonna do 5 quick questions, lightning round, answer fast. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. Pride or Golden Choices Rabbit?
Pride.
Ooh, do you have a Pride? I know you have a Golden Choices Rabbit.
No, I have. No, I don't have a Pride. My girlfriend does though.
Oh, nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Favorite Disney character?
Buzz Lightyear.
Nice. Favorite Pokemon?
Pikachu.
RPGs or FPS?
FPS.
Ooh, that's where we differ. I'm a huge RPG nerd. Mermicornos or Unicornos?
Mermicornos.
Yeah. All I want for Christmas is blank.
$10 OMI.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to say that. Wait, this Christmas or future Christmas?
Future Christmas, one of them.
Love it.
I mean, this Christmas would be nice, but not likely.
Yeah, unless they literally came out with all the exchanges in the next week. Pokemon, Elon Musk talks about Ecomi and VeVe as like his forefront. Like, then
a fully built metaverse as well. Like, with
soon. Hashtag soon.
Yep.
Awesome, man. Well, let's get into it. So, obviously you've been a part of this community since the beginning. In the early days, it was like me, you, Kyle Wiston, Crypto Chris, Earth to Mastery, like the old school days when we created content and like the community just started kind of growing and booming. It's been 9 months now. And so, you put out the most content by far than anyone else in the community. Like you're the most watched channel in terms of like views and all that. So I wanted to have you on here because I value your opinion. I think, you've been a part of this for a long time, but I would also like to kind of understand like how you got here. So, how did you get into investing and what led you to crypto and NFTs?
I got into investing because for the longest time I started as a programmer, and I from programming it led me to becoming a YouTuber because I actually kept making websites where I had to keep rebuilding fan bases for every single website that I made. So I don't just I put out a lot of videos, but that's just my work ethic overall. I used to put out a lot of websites and program a lot of websites as well. So eventually I got over to YouTube, and I fell in love with it. So I never went back to websites. So once getting into YouTube, I found a passion in gaming. Obviously, anyone would love to play games for a living and just play games, talk, have fun and stuff like that. And eventually I learned that when I became successful, I learned that basically being a successful gaming YouTuber, you don't actually play the games. It's not actually gaming. You spend more time strategizing, calculating, and figuring out how to grow. And you don't really have enough time to play the game. So it's not as fun as it's cracked up to be. So I started losing passion for gaming over the years. And I've wanted to get into investing in something that I actually enjoy. And certain investments was just too overly complicated. I didn't understand for a long time. I tried in maybe 2018 or something. I invested in Netflix early on. Mm-hmm. And that being my first investment, I saw the potential there, but I ended up taking a big loss on that because I didn't understand investment. The second I saw that red going down, I'm like, oh, I did something wrong. Let me pull up my money out, whatever I had left. And I stopped investing or stopped attempting for years after that. Then I saw VeVe. Well, no, I saw Dogecoin. And then I jumped back into that because I believed in Dogecoin based on the fact that I looked at the state of the world. I had weird indicators. I looked at, okay, if this guy can get into the presidency and he's just like a actor, and if I'm looking at how everything's a meme and a joke, Harambe, all of this is running through my mind. I'm like, okay, this world's not taking anything serious. I think that this has a chance to blow up because it's not serious. So I invested in Doge, and excuse me. I eventually down the line, I ended up seeing VeVe thanks to Johnny Dunn and Gary Vee. I was on a Gary Vee post because I was hearing him talk about NFTs for months. Johnny Dunn actually posted under one of his posts and said, yo, download the VeVe app. I'm like, what is the VeVe app? I typed in just the 4 letters. It was so simple. Because of Gary Vee, I was looking at OpenSea and stuff like that, but I couldn't wrap my head around it at the time. But VeVe, it's seamless. I got on, I saw Batman. It was so easy to get into. I'm like, I can do this. I can get into this. I can understand this. So I found VeVe, started posting content. Honestly, when I initially started on YouTube, that was my whole learning process. I was really wrapping my head around everything, and just literally everything that I was researching, studying, I was just putting it out. Everything I was finding. My entire history is actually on YouTube. So yeah, that's where my investment journey, I guess, started, and how we got here. That's my whole process, I guess.
No, it's good to know, to get some background. That's what's funny too, is I started investing in 2018 as well. That was my intro in, and I started with stocks, and then threw very little into crypto at that time. For most of my life was just kind of how can I actually keep and make money? And then, one day my buddy was just like, well, what's your money doing in your bank account? It's you're losing to inflation just by trying to collect, less than or 1% or whatever on your savings account. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then started investing with stocks and did pretty well with stocks myself. And that's kind of what led me further into crypto. And it's kind of funny what you said about Dogecoin. Like there's definitely the whole meme coin era that has definitely taken over. I think how we actually hit a $10 OMI is if we just change the name to VeVe Inu or OMI Inu.
It probably would.
Yeah, but no, that's cool to hear, man. But do you exclusively collect VeVe NFTs today, or do you have other NFTs as well?
I have a few other NFTs here and there, but I don't really dive into any NFTs outside of VeVe. I look at it surface level, but I don't dive into any project at the same way that I've dove into VeVe. Mainly because I'm just not really interested in if I found something that's perfect, that's going the direction that I wanted to go in, that I really believe the future is moving towards, and there's nothing else that even comes close to it. It's like yes, it's not really a point. I don't see a point because I can spread out my funds here, there, and there, but I feel like it's going to be more impactful if I put my funds and everything into one place that I really believe in and that I really know is going to do what I expect it to do, as opposed to having like a bunch of different investments. So that's why I actually pulled out of Cardano and other things like that and came into VeVe, because I don't believe in diversification. Most times you don't get rich off of diversification. People get rich and then diversify to maintain that wealth. So I'm planning on going all in OMI VeVe, and that's just my approach to it.
Awesome, man. And like that's what's funny too, is like that's where we differ. Like you're a purist, right? You're like an all in, kind of like real Randy Chavez, which I mean it works. Like when you hit, right? But same, like I diversify quite a bit, but that's because that's kind of how I accumulated some of my wealth, which, you know, I'm far from just chilling on that wealth yet, but definitely like there's a lot of value in kind of knowing and attaching it to like the right horse, right? So I love kind of having those like different conversations, because my way works for me, but other ways work for everyone else, right? And there's also benefits from kind of looking at other ways too. So love it. And shout out to everyone in the community. I have for the awesome super chat. Thank you, Adam Awesomeface. Has he looked into community projects like Fishes or Kaki Kajun? I can't even say that. Kaki Gajun's stuff. Also, what about butt stuff? You got to answer all those.
I've looked into the Fishes project. I saw that. Isn't that from blockchain? The blockchain guy.
Yeah, that's Brock's project, which I have some
blockchain.
And Kaki Kajun, he actually did the OMI Homies NFTs, which he has you're like the omnificent one, and I'm like the Fudbuster one.
Oh yeah, I remember those. Yeah,
those are dope. But I think that's a no comment on the butt stuff.
Yeah, I have. Nah.
I love it. All right, well, so would you consider yourself like more of a long holder collector when it comes, because you talk about, like, me and you and several content creators talk very much about like OMI and VeVe and like kind of all across the board. And there's some who specifically talk about collectibles, but I'm curious, like, are you more of a VeVe NFT holder or are you somewhat of a flipper?
I'm a holder. My entire style of investing is modeled from Warren Buffett, and it's just like it started with him and really understanding what made him stand out compared to others. And I kind of mixed it up and added my own flair to it. So I really believe in holding things of value and holding them for a long time. Excuse me, I kind of got a cough right now, a little cold. But yeah, I'm getting over an infection. But yeah, I believe in just finding things that's really, really valuable that I fully understand and I can wrap my head around, and just holding on to those. But my strategy is always have X amount of whatever the investment is, and then flip a little so I can gain a little, like, in the short term as well. So I hold for long term, and then I also do a few short term flips. So for instance, like Amazing Spider-Man had like 15 of those. I still hold 10. Comics? I sold the comics, yeah. I sold like 5 so I could buy some other stuff on VeVe, and I'm holding the other 10. But then if I want to make some profits, I have stuff that I can sell and stuff like that, and I have stuff that I won't touch. So I'm like, I'm mainly a long-term holder, but I do flip here and there.
Awesome. And I think that's the way to go too, right? Like, people are always asking, like, how do these people get these large gem balances? And it's because they scoop things up before they're really like highlighted in value, and you get a bunch of them, right? And then you kind of slowly, as they go up, kind of sell them off when you need more gems. So you're not always having to pump in fiat into the app to do so. But it's funny that you mentioned Buffett. Like, Buffett's an OG. Like, he's one of like the coolest guys. Like, I've seen several of his biographies and all that, and like very, very, you know, he created wealth out of almost nothing, and then like very much just made smart move after smart move. Did you see that his daughter just created like a coin or something? It's like Spirit Coin or something.
No, I didn't see that. That's crazy.
Which is because he was like super anti crypto, and I'm not sure if he's changing his tune yet, but I get it. Like that kind of old school mentality. Like I agree with many things Buffett says, but I also disagree with some of the new school thought that he has not adopted to yet. But it's going that way.
Yeah, he admits that. I like that he admits that he specializes in one particular area. It's a lot that he doesn't know, and I think that it's always a good idea to kind of focus on your strengths and what you can understand and wrap your head around. So yeah, I don't blame him for not understanding certain things, but I definitely appreciate the overall lessons that he shares with the patience and investing in what you truly believe and understand and stuff like that. So yeah, but it is crazy that his daughter's making a crypto project. That's dope.
Yeah, hopefully she'll be in his ear. I think if anything, maybe I'll find her on Twitter and tweet at her and be like, "Hey, if you like NFTs, talk to your dad and let's get Buffett talking about VeVe."
Yeah, that would be insane, especially him making an investment. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be nuts. But if anything, he's a smart investor. He probably wouldn't reveal it right away.
Exactly.
Many that I've seen have not. Like the bigger investors who are not avid in our community are making investments on the down low because they don't want to pump it up yet. They're still accumulating, right? Which that is a smarter way of going about it versus, kind of saying like, hey, I'm in and here's why. But I think once Immutable's finally done, we'll see some more that are popping in that we're not aware about yet. But dude, it's been crazy. Like 9 months since, we started covering VeVe. Looking back, I guess, what would you say is the highlight of 2021 and what are you most excited for, or what will be the highlight of 2022?
The highlight? I think just the massive growth. It's overall just appreciating what they've been able to accomplish, because I know a lot of people excuse me, I know a lot of people get upset about the how much they put off certain things and how long certain things have taken to actually come to fruition. But at the same time, they've been able to take an app designed for 60,000 people and fit millions in it. So to see the behind the scenes being like how Dan is really leading this project as far as the tech side goes, and how David is just killing it on the licensing end, this company to me is proving that they're unstoppable. And I think that's the biggest highlights, realizing that they came out with a plan. They said they were going to do things, and they're doing it. They're doing everything that they say they were going to do. Even if it's not in the timeline that they expected, even with all the hiccups, no matter what, they eventually get it done. And that's what I love to see. I love to see that it makes me confident that I made the right decisions, because I see that they actually deliver. It's not just words. It's not just talk. They live by what they say. So I definitely appreciate that. And then like Disney, like I didn't expect Disney this year. I didn't expect the license anywhere near that big this year. So yeah, that was massive too. So yeah, that was huge.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, the timelines are definitely like constantly, a moving thing. And I've theorized that looking at like what's happened with Immutable X, like their marketplace, their NFT projects, like I actually strongly believe that it's more of an immutable. Like they announced the Coinbase integration back in end of March, like start of April, and it's still not integrated. So I'm imagining like that's why there's been so many delays. It's not because Ecomi and VeVe aren't good to go, but they're also have a high enough integrity that they're not going to out a partner on that. Kind of like what they didn't out a partner on the San Diego Comic-Con issue. And so, I mean, I think a lot of the timelines kind of get blurred because a lot of those timelines have been built around Immutable X, and it's just something that we've been waiting for. But yeah, I mean, like when you look at projects in the crypto world, and even outside, like in the technology world, for them to post up over a 10x from what their expected user growth was supposed to be in 1 year or less than 1 year, right? Is absolutely insane. So that's big to me too. And like, I can't believe that we're here, but I guess what would you say would be the highlight of 22? I mean, like there's so many things like that are coming, but we've got a whole nother year ahead of us that, I mean, everything's kind of built up towards it.
I think the highlight for a lot of people is probably going to be the monetary gains that we see from them focusing in on the OMI token. I expect that that's going to be heavy. That's going to be heavily focused on next year, and I think the VeveVerse by the end of next year, is just going to be at the beginning, the starting stages. So not too impressive. I'm not expecting a huge impact from the VeveVerse. So yeah, I think next year we're looking forward to an insane, probably VeVe continuing to surprise us with their drops. So that's going to be amazing. but we're more than likely going to start seeing for the first time the drops impact the OMI price, because I feel like they're going to have the OMI token linked at that point and really have that done. So which is going to have a whole different experience than we've experienced year one, because they just totally ignored the OMI token and focused in on the VeVe app and getting that perfect before going over to the OMI token. So once that's added in, I think that's when we're really going to start seeing the interesting things in the community as far as the token price is concerned.
Yeah, I agree completely. And shout out to Wendy in the chat and everyone here. Thanks so much for hopping in, guys. It says, do you realize that a year ago, pretty much any of us knew or had a single collectible, and now we're here, right? Like, that's a good point. Is like, I was, in OMI thinking like February, and then got, I think I had 2 collectibles when it was like still open. I was like sub 5,000 user, and then like now I have like right around 300 collectibles, and it's like crazy to see how much we've all jumped in, not just on the OMI side, but also the VeVe collectible side. So really good point, Wendy. And, so we're kind of known as like, I think everyone's kind of thrown around prices, but like I built roadmaps, like you talked about like a $1 OMI, a $10 OMI, but I'm curious, like when it comes down to the VeVe collectibles, like the actual NFTs that, we're avidly going creative or going absolutely crazy for, what is your price prediction on VeVe collectibles in the future, like the actual blue chips, right? Like a Waltz or a Givenchy Pride or anything like that.
I think that we're going to be able to see at some point some $1 million floors if the rest of the NFT space as a whole is any indication of what we can expect. Because I know that these are one of ones and one of 10,000s and stuff like that, but I think the impact of these brands and licenses, and the fact that these are already brands that big money trust and old money, like that wealth, people with wealth, like these are brands that they trust. And I think that NFTs are inevitable. Everyone's going to get into NFTs. So if I look at people with insane money, like old school wealth, like maybe they pass like oil money or something like that, and what they would feel comfortable investing in, I'm looking at things like comics. I'm looking at things like art pieces and like stuff like the Mona Lisa. Not saying that VeVe can get that. I don't know if they ever will, but like stuff with the level of notoriety that VeVe brings to the table with their IPs and their ability to secure IP. So I think that once we are established and respected more in the crypto space and in the NFT space, once we have that interoperability and all these things, I think that we're going to start seeing things just go crazy on VeVe and people willing to spend much more money on the platform. So yeah, Mona Lisa confirmed.
Yeah. And I saw someone say like, hey, are we going to interact with you guys in chat? We will. I'm going to get through some of the questions that I laid out, kind of pick Cavell's brain a little bit. And then we're going to be kind of addressing a bunch of the questions here in the community. And shout out to Kay for being here. Cavell's bed sheets look as slick as Taps Man. Those bed sheets, man. There's been so many like little nuances that have popped up from like streams and videos and in the community. It's so happy to see the bed sheets are looking fly.
Had to get that right. Had to get that right for the stream.
Love it. And yeah, to what you said, like when it comes to big companies, like, and I've talked about like how this is the first year that NFTs have actually been thrown on like a Gartner hype cycle, like actually being recognized by the largest companies in the world and having a strategy around NFTs, like not just for marketing purposes, but also how they can continue to build out. Like we know the metaverse is coming. So, I mean, it's so early still that there's going to be a bunch of, people who are saying negative things and like environmental concerns, but this is the way it's heading, right? Like if you didn't have a strategy to capitalize on the internet with marketing or some form of ability back when it was first starting, you were already not able to compete. Right. And it was the same thing with social media presence. Like a lot of people were like, well, like that's not really business. But then if you didn't start with a social media strategy, you were behind the curve. So this is the way it's going. And I agree full heartedly. Like it's just a matter of time before we see like bigger companies. And I mean, Nike just bought Artifact, which is an Immutable X project too. So it's like, I think we're in a good spot to where it's just, the more brands, the more that we bring on from VeVe, we're going to see bigger companies like Coca-Cola and USPS and all these other companies jumping in on the licensing as well.
Yeah, exactly. We're seeing some I'm expecting something that's crazy and that's going to just be unexpected. I think that we're going to benefit a lot from the overall market crash of the NFT space because we are in a bubble right now. So once these other brands start dropping like flies, and you get to see like people get nervous about NFTs and scared that maybe this was a scam, a bubble this whole time, and I think the first thing that's going to recover from something like this, I don't even know if it's going to hit. I'm pretty sure it might hit VeVe in some capacity, but I think that VeVe will recover quicker than anything else, and it's going to remain dominant because of the people attached, the companies attached. This is when IP is going to really become king. Like we already know IP is king, but I think like once the rest of the NFT space crashes, the confidence in these collectibles are going to go up way higher because people are going to be more likely to jump into VeVe than any of the other projects anyway. So I expect some big things to happen at that point.
No, so I agree on that because like Gary Vee, like most of the other like larger investors in the NFT space have said 90 to 95% of the NFTs will not make it once we go into a bear cycle, right? Like it's basically going to be those who have IP, those who have utility, those who have a community, like those will be what lasts, especially when it comes to like you're seeing already in the NFT world where they're all going like, oh, we're making a metaverse or we're making a play to earn game or something like that. And it's because they have to, otherwise they don't hold value, right? They just fail out. So I definitely think like that's a big differentiator for us, but that does bring up a question because, I think me and you are split on this. Like, I think you've said with other people that, and let me know your thoughts on it, that you think OMI is either bear cycle resistant or bear proof. And I guess, what are your thoughts on the VeVe collectibles? Like, do you think when we go into a bear market, if it's some kind of financial crisis or something like that, how do you think the collectibles and OMI will hold up?
I think that just depends on how far along VeVe is, because I think that if it's just holding the collectible and holding the asset, we're going to see some downward, some things go down. Especially if people are going to have to sell off to make ends meet, pay for things like in real life and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to see some things go down, but at the same time, if we have a metaverse, if we have the VeveVerse, if we have things that entertainment people cling to, like so some things on the entertainment side of things usually go up during down times and markets and stuff. So if the entertainment is really there and the value proposition from these NFTs are actually in place where we have mini games and stuff like that, then it could be a completely different story at that point. But just having the NFT, like if it is how it is right now, where you just have the NFT, then I think we will be seeing some people sell off. But yeah, I don't think that the NFTs are as bear market. It's hard. It's hard. I would really have to wrap my head around that, but I think VeVe I think it's more resistant than any other NFT in the space. I'll say that. I'll say VeVe is at the top in my opinion on the NFT front and the OMI front. So the crypto front. So however anything else is impacted, I think VeVe will perform better regardless. That's just my opinion though.
No, I mean, so I agree too. Like the way I look at it is at the end of the day, OMI is a crypto, you're right. And like, it'll have utility title. It'll have so many things that will benefit once we go into a metaverse world, once we see more of the actual OMI utility enacted. But the one thing I think about when it comes to the collectibles is they're like most things, right? Like if it's basketball cards, baseball cards, other collectibles where like they'll have a downward pressure in like a bear cycle, or then they'll come up stronger on the other end. So it's kind of like when you compare collectibles in actual physical form to now what is happening with a digital, transformation way that is NFTs, like, yeah, they could go down maybe in the interim if we see like some financial crisis like that. But in the long term of things, like we're only going to keep increasing mints. They're only become more rare as the seasons continue to go. So once we come out on the other side of whenever the next bull cycle is, VeVe is still going to be strong, right? So we might see maybe like an initial downward pressure whenever we go into that side. But I mean, I feel bad for people who sold Pokemon cards, 10 years ago, right? Yep. If they just held on to them, you may be absolutely killing it like real Randy Chavez, right? Like you're able to hold on to something and then see when it's in that next big boom and then capitalize then. And so like, I imagine that's when we're going to see, like right now a Walt is, I think what, 12K or 13K or something like that. But once we get to a stage where we've done like, Steamboat Willie, we've done tons of Disney drops. And that was still the first ever Disney drop, that gold moment with Walt and Mickey. Like it won't be 13K. It'll be very much higher.
Yeah, exactly.
See a couple of super chats in here, so I'll take priority. But I did see a really good question, and it was actually tied to one of the things that I had as well, which was, I'm trying to see who posted it. Because I think me and you, like, we're always pretty bullish. But someone asked if, okay, there it is, Medi, or is it Medi? No, that's not the one. It's Javier. Cap, since we always talk about Ecomi as a great investment, it would be interesting to see what disadvantages you guys see in this project, which I agree. Like, it's good to look at both sides of the fence, which when I started like creating content videos so early, and I was constantly trying to find like all of the chinks in the armor to see like, okay, like why will this company fail? So that way I don't go too heavy in. And now I'm way too heavy in.
Yeah. As far as I see, I think one of my biggest, I'm not going to say concerns, but one of the biggest things that would make me kind of turn bearish is signs that they can't deliver certain things. So I think that VeVe shoots for the stars. They shoot for the moon. And with claims or goals like Ready Player One, you have to think about what Ready Player One actually is, how impressive that is, and how much it costs, how many developers it would take to do and maintain, and all the things that you would have to, like, the sheer size of the team that you would need to be able to even do that. It's like and the time frame as well, because you have Facebook who's at will hiring 10,000 people, and VeVe is kind of just starting up on that front. And you have like what Dan has been just working on it by himself versus Facebook's 10,000 people. So I think just being able to deliver before a huge competitor comes and delivers something crazy good, and because if the experience somewhere else is super fun to the point where it could be something like Fortnite is fun to the point where I don't know if IP is enough. Like, is IP enough to, like, because there was a lot of games out that had certain IPs on it, but Fortnite came and that didn't matter. Fortnite, it was Fortnite's time. So that, I think that's one of my biggest concerns. I think that could probably be a very bearish sign of something if they're not able to actually deliver on their huge big dreams. But I do believe that this team is capable of delivering, but that has to be proven. So that's probably the biggest thing for me.
No, that makes sense. I mean, like, we're all so gung-ho on the VeveVerse, but it's like we haven't seen anything yet. And it's kind of like it's all speculation until confirmed, which a lot of it has been, but we're all kind of looking at like what those brands will be, what the VeveVerse will be. And like everyone's kind of making moves now in the metaverse. So it's like until we actually see it, there's kind of a big question mark next to it. So, and everyone's making moves with a lot of money and a lot of big projects. So as more jump in, that is a potential, kind of thing to look out for just in case, because it's so early, that doesn't mean that another one can't come in, already have a community or have like a big bankroll and then start doing something similar. So, but I think we're in a good spot now, but there's definitely like a worry kind of moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think that people see like as far as companies moving in, trying to do something similar. I think Recur is a new project that's getting a lot of traction in the community because people see that as a big threat to VeVe. Me personally, I don't see it as big of a threat, but I mean, they are doing some amazing things. They're doing it in a short time, but at the same time, I think that they're still playing catch up, and VeVe's so far ahead. They was securing things years ago, and we still don't even know what they got up their sleeve. So taking that into consideration, yeah, it's not as big of a concern for me, but I do see, so I know that Recur is just one of many that's going to be coming. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I actually have 2 Recur portals that I did get, and I'm in their Discord. And so, yeah, that project's extremely early. Like, they haven't announced, like, they've announced some licenses, but like most don't even know what it's going to be yet, even though we have those portals initially. So it's like, but there's so many other competitors that could come. But yeah, great point. And I'm going to get through these super chats. So thanks so much for the super chat. Pimpokio knows. Thanks to all the VeVe YouTubers, learned something from all of you, and you all reach and open up different new markets. We all winning. Great positive message. I love the positivity, guys. Last lunch super chat. Thank you so much. Happy Tuesday, guys. Would love your thoughts on the custom blind boxes Kobe Collects super chatted you about. Kobe Collects. I missed one. Did I? Aha. Thank you so much for letting me know that. I launched, thank you for the super chat, Kobe Collects. My bad, I'm missing that. I launched the first ever VeVe custom blind boxes, and I'm running one soon with Walt's partner statue. Walt in blind box form is back. I had Wally and Ben Spider-Man in my last one. Thoughts, gentlemen? Did you see this?
That's amazing. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know anyone was doing something like this.
I didn't either.
Yeah, that's sick. That's huge for the community. I think that this is stuff like this. The whole community wins.
Yeah, I'll try and find it as well. But that's what's cool is like so many people are doing like their own giveaways, their own kind of like branches of projects off of VeVe, and like I love it. Like kind of like how you're like doing merch and all that. Like that's one of the benefits of NFTs, right? Is like you have the ability to take that image or that NFT and then kind of run with it your own route. So I love seeing things like this, but that is something I will absolutely look up. Thank you for the shout out and for letting me know on that. But I've got a few other ones here. Adam Awesome Face, your showrooms will, thank you for the super chat, will work even in the bear market. That's a good point. Markets going to market, the collectibles will mature through cycles and become stores of value for generations. OMI is the way. Dang. Yeah. That's well said.
Yeah, you have to consider things like Todd. Todd is not one that just gets hit drastically by pretty much anything. It's like people know what Todd is worth, so it may not pump up substantially like a partner's NFT, but Todd stays where it's at, and it does go up over time at its own little pace. So I think Todd is one of those. That's why Todd is a grail, though. It is one of those things where I feel like Todd is more of a stable, would be considered more of a stable coin, something like that. Mm-hmm. It is one of those things that you can probably count on maintaining that value.
Yeah, I mean, the people who I remember, like it was probably like a week, maybe not even a week, couple days, where there was tons of Todds available back in March, and then we just started to see like all of them just disappear, and it's because people were loading up on them because of the value of it being the first NFT on VeVe, and people kind of saw that as like, okay, this is kind of like getting a Bored Ape or not even Bored Ape, like a CryptoPunk, right? Like one of the original NFTs on a massive platform that's going to be something that we didn't even think was going to be this year, right? So I agree, like Todd show value, and then even when we go into a bear market, kind of like what you said on like Fortnite kind of came in and destroyed because it was fun. VeVe's extremely fun. Like you see people building these incredible showrooms and like posting an augmented reality with their family and their kids and all that. Like that's not going to disappear. And when you think about, when we do enter into like either a financial crisis or some kind of, downward spiral on the markets, people are going to still be having fun with their collectibles. People are going to need some kind of outlet. And like, that is a really good point. Like we still have the ability to do all this, and we're going to have some even bigger brands. I can't wait for like having like dinosaurs and Jurassic Park and all that running around. Like that's just going to bring a whole nother element.
I actually didn't think about that. Like the, the fun aspect that VeVe brings. It stands out, especially I think that VeVe would be some of the last collectibles that people would want to sell in comparison, because it has already such a fun atmosphere and community around it. It's like one of those things that you want to touch last, similar to like a Todd. If you're like, because during a downtime, if you're selling something, I feel like Todd is probably going to be one of the last things that anyone touches to try to liquidate and get like, yeah, like I think that's going to be one of the last things people go for. So, and I feel that way about VeVe as a whole. I feel like people are more likely to go for their other cryptos or NFTs and stuff like that before they go for VeVe. And it's the more utility and things like that VeVe adds on, it's only going to make it perform better during a down situation or a tough situation. So,
yeah. And shout out to Kay. Thanks for the super chat. So I think Kay already knows my thoughts on Caloscope. Like I'm very excited about it, but I know quite a lot about it and I can't wait to see more. But what are your thoughts? Have you looked into Caloscope?
Yeah, he actually showed me his the project. I was impressed by it, how I remember it was a wall of like trees or something. Was it a wall of trees?
And trees.
Yeah, and how it impacted something in the real world. So I like the idea behind it. I didn't super deep dive into it. I think more VeVe stuff came up, so I got back on VeVe, but I definitely support the project. And yeah, I think that K is doing an amazing job.
Yeah, I love it. Like everyone's like, oh, like is it a competitor? And like only somewhat for market share, but not really. Like how I look at it is VeVe is the king of NFT collectibles, and then Calscope is going to be like the queen of basically helping us kind of basically having like a social metaverse of having NFTs from all different NFT projects in that kind of environment. And like it's going to look really, really good. And there'll be more to show soon. Shout out to Wendy. Merry Christmas, VeVe fam. VeVe and NFT space will be awesome next year. Keep doing good to the world. And thank you, Taps and Cavell, for all you do. Happy New Year. Thanks so much, Wendy. You are a savage. And I think Wendy's actually had like the most biggest names on a channel to date.
By far, yeah. She's going crazy.
She's crushing
definitely
it.
Amazing at what she does.
All right. So the big question is, I mean, we've seen kind of all the different prices thrown around, but realistically, when do you think we'll see a $1 OMI?
A $1 OMI. I think that timeline is kind of. I think that I was expecting more from this year, so I would
I think
push
we all
back. Yeah, exactly. So I think expectations has to be pushed back a little bit. So I'm thinking we could see it by 2023 or 2024, that area. I mean, it's still completely possible. I feel like, but this is not something that you can really bank on. But I feel like we could see a Dogecoin effect where this really does pump like crazy, because all it takes is Snoop Dogg to get in, or some crazy celebrity. Elon Musk himself getting in. Like, we have a project that really can attract everybody. We have Disney, and we have some major brands. So it's like when they really go all out with marketing, and you just see VeVe everywhere, like, because it's like it's going to get to a point where VeVe has released so many brands where anytime somebody advertises, VeVe could be involved in these advertisements if they are ready to handle that type of push. Like a Coca-Cola ad. Coca-Cola is going to want to promote their NFTs. We could be on Coca-Cola, then see us on Disney Plus, and at the point where we're across all these different platforms, some crazy explosive growth could happen that people would never see coming. So I think that as long as VeVe keeps building how they're doing it, and gives and clearly keeps continuing to show that they're dominant, I think that these companies will be highly motivated to promote VeVe, and that's going to get us their way quicker. So yeah, I think that we could see something crazy by next year. It just depends on how fast they put out these features that gets us really solidified in the NFT space and the crypto space. It depends on that, and after that, we could blow up at any moment. So yeah.
Well said. I mean, and I think every single content creator has been kind of off on the price that we thought this year, especially me and you. But when you look at it, like everything that's happened, and I think you touched on this earlier, is like VeVe is, you know, is the car, is like the actual car, right? And then OMI is going to be the gasoline that's going to help drive it, right? But you can't just have gas and like have it be worth something, right? So like that car has to be like, we don't want a Pinto, we want like a super nice Mercedes or a Tesla or whatever, right? And then now, like basically everything that we thought was going to happen that's going to drive OMI price realistically hasn't happened. It's been a lot of VeVe stuff, right? Like we don't have OMI utility yet, even though we've seen the first version of the article. We don't have exchanges. Immutable X phase 3 is finally about to happen the start of the year. And to what you said, like when we get advertising or marketing or even further influencer marketing than just like Cryptos R Us, who, you know, shout out to Cryptos R Us, great, have him in our corner, as well as, you know, Andre and some others. But there's so many things that have been spoken about that haven't happened yet, that it's like, and it's no wonder the OMI price hasn't continued up, but it's all still ahead of us versus it happened and nothing happened, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I think that people get upset, like prematurely get upset, like not realizing that it's not like VeVe has flopped or something. It's just that they have not hit the timelines everyone was expecting. Like we expected more quicker, and they had some genuine, like they had some fair issues, like getting on Immutable Plus doing something, well, Immutable X, I mean, Immutable X doing something that they that's never been done before. Then you got VeVe doing something that's never been done before. Then they're doing a collaboration something like that has never been done before. It's like everyone's learning here. Everyone's trying to figure this out. So there's going to be mistakes and flaws along the way. So I think people just have to understand that and give them a little bit more leeway for creating history here and really leading this revolution, this NFT revolution, where they really could be the king for the next 10 years. So
yeah, agreed. And like I've been stoked for Immutable X and I've been waiting for it to happen because it is a big move in itself, but it's also a way for them to advertise the largest project that they currently have, right? Because like they're going to have now all of these NFTs coming all onto their platform. And when you look at like Alex Becker and TapsTrades, like they've all been speaking about Immutable X when it launched and also like highlighting the NFT projects, which have all done really well. And so like them taking on this big project with VeVe, they're now associating themselves with, you know, the leader in the digital collectible space. And we saw that when they had that big promo video come out when they announced the phase 2 completing. And it's like, they also now get to associate themselves as, hey, we don't have the Coinbase integration yet. We don't have the Binance Marketplace integration yet. But guess what we do have? We have Disney NFTs. We have Marvel NFTs that they don't have yet. And they will integrate, but it's like, that's huge for them as a, you know, a newer or a kind of up and coming layer 2 solution.
Yep, exactly.
Ivan the Terrible, what's up? Ivan says, reminder, 22-cent OMI party in Puerto Vallarta. Dude, I'm down. There's like a 5-cent OMI party in Tulsa. Daniel Lee and Kyle Wilson have been talking about. There's a 10-cent in, was it like Vegas or something? There's a 22-cent apparently in Puerto Vallarta. I got to get my miles ready for next year.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get. I think there's like a Dubai one as well. I forgot what that one was for, but that's one I'm looking forward to.
Dubai.
Yeah, Dubai for sure. Yeah,
I've never shoot some AK-47s in the desert and drive around in Maseratis.
That would be fun.
I love it. Let's see. So we've both talked about Pokemon. I think the whole community is always excited about it. Like we know that is most likely of when, not if at this point, but not to go too much into Pokemon, but what other big brands and licensors do you think that we'll inevitably see in 2022 that maybe hasn't been considered yet?
I'm really big on the anime side of things. I think that I'm waiting for like a Naruto. Like Naruto, that's always my thing. I want Itachi. Like yep. When I get Itachi, that's gonna be my biggest grail personally, because I'm just not letting that go for anything. That's one of the first collectibles where it's going to be like, okay, I have a big attachment to that, because Naruto actually played a huge part in my life, even becoming a programmer. Like a lot of that was influenced by Naruto. So yeah, that's one that I'm looking forward to. I think that actually the one that's coming up soon is Cars. I think Cars could be impactful, especially depending on how it's done. Like if you have different car parts and stuff like that, and you can actually build a car type of thing, that could be insane. People just buying accessories to race in the VeVe Verse, something like that. They have some type of racetrack. You can buy accessories and upgrade your cars, and it kind of follows suit to some maybe racing games or something. That could be massive, because then people are going to spend a ton of time upgrading their cars and learning tricks and secrets and buying more accessories to put in cars. And yeah, that would be insane. So I feel like that would probably be one of the most impactful. But as far as yeah, I think anime is just like king by far, because that hits into the Asian market as well. Like, and that is insane. Like the Asian side of YouTube, I actually have some channels based around like Asian friendly topics and stuff like that. So it's massive. I see these YouTubers who are as big as Mr. Beast that people never know exists, and it's crazy. So yeah, you attract that side. VeVe can really attract anyone anywhere in the world, and that's what I feel is amazing about it. And if we can get something that can attract Mr. Beast, and then the Asian Mr. Beast, like and all those other YouTubers on that side that people don't even know about, then VeVe just really dominates everything. So
Mr. Beast-san is the Asian Mr. Beast. No, I hear you, man. Like I'm a huge weeb, like a cosplayer, like been in anime for most of my life. Like that is by far the one I'm most excited for. And like we have gaming and all that still coming too, but when I asked you earlier, like, I guess what you're most looking forward to for 2022, obviously, like, I'm excited for the VeveVerse, but the number one thing, like, I've hit on the most is localization. Like, when you have the ability to read in your own native language, the app, like, then you have the APAC region, but also we've seen like what's happened with the French markets, like on Sky News and all that. So we already have VeVe content creators who do it in Spanish and in French. And I think I've seen like in German, and like that enables not just the VeVe app and content to have new users, but also new creators who, like you said, are going to put it out into their big audiences that we haven't even touched on yet. Right. So like that will absolutely be incredible. And like, man, when anime comes, I'm a huge like DBZ fan. Like, even if it's not quite an anime, like Final Fantasy VII, even though they did some kind of things like that, but like little things just with like the actual Japan and APAC region, like that kind of side, I think will be huge for us.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see like a even like a Death Note. I think a Death Note would be nice, like having an actual book, having it open up, and it would be nice if you could like maybe make that a troll NFT where you write somebody's name in the Death Note, and maybe it makes one of their collectibles disappear momentarily or something.
Oh, that would be madness, man. You know how mad people would be like, all right, well, I had 15 common Spider-Man, and one just got burnt because Cavell wrote my name in a Death Note.
That would be hilarious. Until it happens to somebody, Donnie.
They'd probably keep it to like high mint commons or something like that. But that'd be actually a pretty funny burn mechanism. Or maybe it's like you write in your own Death Note what you want to burn or something like that. Like, whatever. Hello, Kay. Thank you for the super chat. He says, could KYC with MTL cause problems for some places? What are your thoughts?
MTL cause problems for some places. I think so. Yeah. I think that KYC in itself could be a big barrier. That's why I don't want to see KYC used aggressively before you can do drops and stuff like that. I just want to use in about like, okay, to get your money out and withdraw, then you have to use KYC. I don't want that to I don't want people to use it as a defense against things like bots and stuff like that. I want anyone to be able to hop on, take part in these experiences and enjoy VeVe for what it is. Then when it comes down to taking money out, I would prefer that be the case then, because there are some difficulties that comes with that for certain countries and things like that. And yeah, so yeah, it could cause some problems.
Yeah, I agree. Cause like I think Dan actually has spoken about this, where he said, KYC doesn't make sense as a need to set up your profile, because that just creates an added barrier, right? To actually start collecting. And like, they want it to be fully adaptable to the mass market, right? So I can download, like right now you could have like any age, any family member, any person you meet on the street be like, hey, check out my Batman. Would you like to start collecting? And they can figure it out all just by downloading the app. But when you actually have to do the KYC and all that, like it just kind of creates like all right, well, I'll do it later. And then they forget about it, things like that. So as they continue to grow, like KYC makes sense to cash out, definitely. But that does bring up the question, like, how serious do you think? I mean, we've seen a collection of things, right? Like things that look like legit bots, and then we've seen people speculate on bots. We've seen people like post images, which to me, it's like, if you're successfully getting away with botting and like making tons of money, why post an image? Like you're getting away with it and making a lot of money. So I guess, what are your thoughts on like how big of a problem bots are at this stage?
I don't think that bots are that big of a problem personally. But then again, I haven't been getting drops. I'm not upset at it or anything. I was never expecting to just land drops forever. So I knew that at some point it would grow to the point. And honestly, this new system that everybody is super excited about, yeah, most people are not going to be getting collectibles a lot, because when you make it completely fair, it's going to be completely randomized. And then your chances, like let's say VeVe gets to the point where it has 10 million users. So these drops, like let's say even 1 million people successfully get into a waiting room for a drop. They like your chances of being one of that 1 million, you could probably go a whole year and some people won't get a collectible. And that's the thing. That's why I felt that it was important to get into the marketplace and learn how to flip and things like that, because that was going to be my that's a skill. Like they've taken the skillful aspect out of the drops. So the marketplace, I feel like, is where you can use a skill and actually get ahead. So I forgot what my point was. What was the initial question?
Bots.
Bots. Oh yeah. So yeah, I feel like the bots, I feel like it is minimum. But if you just focus on the marketplace and realize you're not getting a drop anyway and just accept it, then I mean the bots give the best deals. To be fair, like all the low price collectibles in the marketplace is coming from bots because they don't actually care about the collectible whatsoever. They just want to get a quick profit. So I mean, if you start getting these collectibles in the hands of only people who truly understand their value and really want to make profits from their value, you can start seeing a huge price rise of these collectibles right when they hit the secondary market. So I think bots could kind of be argued that they help a little bit right now.
Interesting. Never really thought about it like that, but I mean, I guess there's like there's two sides to everything, but apparently we just got a breaking news on our stream. Shout out to Crypto Baby. Ecomi made an announcement about the Immutable X Phase 3 just now. And she also can't wait for anime. So, I mean, this might be the first time where, here, let me just go ahead and share my screen, where I can actually get to a news piece before Cavell. Or we're doing it together. But shout out to Cavell Anderson. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. I appreciate having you on the channel, but let's see what they just posted. We're gearing up for Phase 3 of our Immutable X migration. Oh, there's an article? Holy shit.
That's lit.
All right, we're gonna present together. You ready, Cavell?
Oh, let's get it.
All right, so Ecomi Immutable X migration here. Got to get through the fluff. First article is released to explain the migration process and help you understand how there is no action. There is no action is required from you at this time, and remind you that Phase 3 will not begin until the next year. They said they're going to get through the New Year's, so I imagine probably like that first week, maybe like Jan 7th ish, we'll probably see this start migrating. So they cover why we're migrating, what the difference is between layer 1, layer 2, which, I mean, when it comes to layer 2 solutions, Immutable X is crushing right now. I mean, it's still so undervalued when you look at like other layer 2s like Polygon Matic and XDAI and Arbitrum. Like, it's one of the top 5. And when you look at like the market cap of Polygon, which is like number 14, it's like 1/20th or 1/19th. The IMX token is like 1/19th or 1/20th of the size of Polygon. And its ecosystem is not its size yet, but it keeps growing fast. So like the fact that we're on a layer 2 solution and ETH 2.0 is probably not going to happen until the end of next year or maybe even 2023. Like when you look at crypto projects that push out, look at Ethereum, look at Cardano, look at like how long it took them to do something. VeVe and Ecomi is moving way fast. So I'm happy that we're on this layer 2 because again, it's going to be getting a lot more attention and continue to scale. Sit on operate layer 2. Do I need to do anything now? No. So I think this is kind of like just information about it. But hey, they promised an article coming out and we got an article. So
it looks like happening. Pretty much stuff they've said and interviews and AMAs and stuff like that. Looks like stuff we already know for the most part.
Yeah.
Just maybe going into a little bit of the intricacies.
I'm happy that they at least put out an article though, right? Because I think what Dan Schaubel threw out about how we need like some kind of like status bar all like that, like on the update of when it's coming out makes sense, but it's also something they'd have to report to, like, and also report on every single setback or waiting on a partner. But when they actually do a Medium article, like it gives it tangible proof, right? Like it kind of quells the when. So I'm happy to see that at least like we have an article saying like, hey, it's happening the beginning of January after the new year. So this is like written proof that they're going to stick to the timeline.
Yeah.
Harvesting Frog, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you both for this positivity. Ribbit. Hop to it. Adam Awesome Face says, this article is making people understand the process. It's a big move. Need to make sure people understand before asking them to move their token. That's a good point too, especially since like, I think a lot of our content, we always talk about VeVe and Ecomi, like people who've already been here for months and months and months, which most of like our community has, but there's still so many new users coming in who are brand new to the project. So like things like this helps them understand what's happening versus just having to like listen to us talk about it like they're already in the know.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
All right, we'll take some more questions here in a minute, but so this is the big piece too. And then we kind of already touched on it, but like on your stream, like you and I spoke about the VeVe Verse for like 2 hours. Like we went all through it because I think we're such like big VeVe fanboys that it just kind of makes, a lot of sense to us that it's going to be one of the top metaverses in the crypto world. But compared to other metaverses in crypto, like Decentraland and Sandbox and others that are coming, and even non-crypto like Roblox, where do you think the VeveVerse will stand, like in the rankings, and why?
I think the VeveVerse has the potential to stand as number one. And I know that that's like a
Ooh.
bullish fanboyish claim, but I think that like their IPs and depending on but then again, Fortnite has a lot of the similar IPs, but I don't think Fortnite is having things like Coca-Cola or something, but I have seen like they just released Spider-Man this season. So Fortnite is doing this thing but I think that that's rare. I think that Fortnite is a rare case, and VeVe is already starting off. Like, I think that if they really pull off Ready Player One, that's not even something that Fortnite could compete with, mainly because Ready Player One is a world that you could actually work in, earn money. You could like it's not just the gamification aspects. If we can make games within the VeveVerse that's at the level of a Fortnite while still maintaining the metaverse side of things, which is basically a digital version of the real world, because that's what a metaverse is. Fortnite isn't technically a metaverse. It's a metaverse, in my opinion, is a digital version of the real world. You can buy vehicles, you can buy property, you can buy land, and you can work and make a living and earnings and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that that's what a metaverse is. And I think you can have different types of gamification and stuff like that. So if they do the Ready Player One style and really really build out an amazing metaverse, I think that VeVe could be number one for sure by far.
I agree. And kind of like caveat onto that is, and I know, is it Epic Games that does Fortnite?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I think they've had kind of a standoffish approach, as many of the gaming like the major large gaming companies have. But who's to say that once things continue to roll out, like we couldn't sign like an Epic Games or couldn't have some kind of partnership with them, right? Because we did just see, where are you? There you are. Ubisoft jumped into blockchain gaming with new playable NFTs, right? Ubisoft Courts. So like this was like a lot of the major gaming companies, besides crypto gaming companies, have been super against, really jumping in the NFT space. Like they want to keep making their revenue the way that they've always made it, right? With skins and all that, but they didn't see the value in NFTs. But Ubisoft just this month actually finally made the leap. And did you see the comments on Twitter about this?
I didn't see the comments. I know that but what you said did remind me though of Blockbuster, like how the companies don't want to change. They want to do what they've been doing because it's working. But I mean, you end up like Blockbuster if you do that. You need to be open to innovation and really progressing, or you're going to get left behind. No matter how successful you are right now, Blockbuster was a beast during this time, and look what happened. So,
yeah, I mean that's a really good point. That jumps back to like if you don't have a digital transformation strategy, or if you're not keeping up with where the world's going, you're going to fall behind. Right, like that's where I got my video games to rent growing up, was Blockbuster, Hollywood Video. But where are they today, right? And like, I mean, if you don't have, and the GameStop is hopping in, like this is kind of the way it's going. And if they're not going to go that way, then others are going to capitalize. And like, happy to see with Ubisoft, but they're kind of like that initial guinea pig to jump in, and then we're going to see Epic Games and other these large players jump in.
I think at some point we're going to see everybody jump in, or the players who don't jump in, we're going to start seeing them dropping like flies. Like it's inevitable. You have to come into this space or you're done. This is the future, and companies are going to start realizing this. It does not matter your size. Nobody is exempt. This is a world change that's coming right now. So everybody's going to have to get with it or get lost.
Yep. And actually, like, this is exactly why Engine, which is another one of my favorite NFT crypto projects. I don't talk about it enough, but my very first video I ever did back in March on crypto was OMI and Engine, like the two top NFT projects of 2021 or something like that. And I still stand by that, because like Engine is the infrastructure that is creating everything with the gaming world into crypto. Like they're the ones who created ERC 1155, which is available with Immutable X. So the ability to batch send, right? Like the ability to actually have NFTs into games is what their entire vision was built around, starting in 2016 to now. And so it just makes sense that they're going to have to adapt or get out of the way.
Yep, exactly.
Shout out to the homie Romeo for the super chat. Thank you so much. I think Cavell is right with the VeveVerse going to be number one. My speculation that once you have market share, it's going to be hard to steal that from VeVe. That's a good point. Like, I think it's like I'm very bullish on the VeveVerse. Like, I think when you look at the brands, when you think about the fact that we could have like an actual Disney World in our metaverse, which others can't, or a Jurassic Park, legit Jurassic Park in our VeveVerse, like that is going to be a game changer. But for it to be number one, like when you say it's number one, like you mean like number one metaverse overall, like against even like a Roblox, like real world, because it has real world capabilities, or do you mean like crypto?
I mean like number one overall, like real world. I don't think that anyone will be able to handle what they're bringing, because Roblox is cool, but it's just, it doesn't have the same potential, because we can, like the Disney World and stuff like that. If you bring that into VeVe, like it's a different story. Like if it's all speculative, but let's say you need like when we was talking on my stream about needing like maybe USS Enterprise to go to Star Trek Galaxy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You have experiences like that where you using NFTs to travel across the galaxy, and then you can have the little one, the ship from Star Wars, and go to Star Wars Galaxy, and maybe something in the water to go to some water underwater, like Atlantis or something. Like if they build out this world with this much detail, and this is something that's going to take time, but if they build out this world with this much detail, I think it's going to be massive. And people don't think that it's possible for VeVe, but I think people underestimate VeVe's circles. Like you don't realize who's actually working on these NFTs. The people who have worked on these NFTs is people who have worked on Call of Duty, Titanfall. They've worked on Spider-Man Miles Morales. They are working with the biggest names in gaming. So no, they don't have a team like Facebook that's 10,000 dedicated employees or something like that. But the best people in the world possible at creating something like this. VeVe has them at their disposal. And as far as if they can afford to bring them on, or if it's just going to make sense to hire some of them or something, like I think that who's not going to jump at a chance to work for VeVe and help them accomplish what they're trying to accomplish if the situation makes sense financially and things like that. I think like that's why Trevor came over from Riot.
Mm-hmm.
He left for a bigger cause and seeing what VeVe was doing. And I think that more people are going to follow suit when they really understand NFTs, the space where we're going, metaverses, and how that's going to play into the world, and what VeVe is really doing and how unheard of it is. So VeVe is not going to be easy for anyone to compete with. It does not matter how much money you have. It's just David Yu and his vision early on and his timing. Like money cannot match his timing and his vision. And the fact that he has spent his life doing this, and he started at 17. So to accomplish what he has as a 17-year-old, he was at 17, I think he could have taken on a lot of these companies. Now it's just, I don't think that a lot of them stand a chance. He knows what he's doing. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And when you think about, so I like, it's hard, right? Like I think I'm pretty conservative sometimes, but at the same time, like I think we will be one of the top metaverses, period. But I think about also like, okay, when you look at Roblox, which has done really, really well, it has that kind of like Minecrafty look. Like it's easy to understand for all ages, but so is VeVe, right? Like we have kids who are grabbing their parents' phones, like to play with them. Like it makes sense to them. It makes sense of all ages. People who are making money, but that's also why Roblox shot up, is like kids saw that they could actually create shops and like that and make money. But that's what people are doing in VeVe, right? People are flipping, making money. And like, I've seen people's families, kids that are actually doing the same. Like someone's posting like, oh, hey, my kid has flipped this, like they've made like 14 grand, of course, with their supervision. But like, that's kind of where VeVe can go because it's open to the masses, right? Like they don't have to have a wallet, like a crypto wallet to do this. They can just figure it out and they can set up shops. They can interact with the community. And it's easy to understand, you know, okay, this is Batman, this is Superman. Like these are the brands that they still grow up to this day versus, okay, this is a NFT of a monkey, but it gets me into this access and does that, right? Like it's much more tangible for all audiences to get. So when it comes to, you know, how can a metaverse really build out? It's about the ease of use. It's about the community, and it's about how fun it is. And we're having fun without a metaverse right now. Like we're already, you know, in this virtual environment, and we built this massive community with, you know, just being able to talk on streams and on Twitter and all that. But when we actually have a place to communicate and trade and gamble and race and all that in this digital format, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Exactly. It's going to be insane. And I think that one thing that a lot of crypto projects is going to be a reason that a lot of them fail is they're too heavily focused on I guess real life utility. Because yes, real life utility is major. It is a big thing. It's a great opportunity, but the world is moving digital. And I think that that's what VeVe understands. The fact that they're going to be that's going to be the most valuable utilities, like the digital utilities, like the worlds that they're building out and stuff like this. So yeah, you can get this collectible and they can get you in an exclusive party and stuff like that. You can make connections, but I mean, at the end of the day, the real utility that people are going to want to take advantage of, the masses are going to want to take advantage of, is the utility in these worlds where that's going to be, it's just going to be the norm. It's going to be where everyone is. You're going to want to be where the people are. And by definition, like a lot of these NFTs, it's you all are exclusive over there. Anybody can jump into VeVe and take part in this world. Everybody don't have the money to get certain NFTs. Everybody don't have the money to fly to certain places and get in these exclusive clubs and do all of this exclusive stuff that's going to prevent that from ever actually being mass adopted. So you all have your cool little club, and yeah, you all may do a lot of great things together, but VeVe is just going to be on another level because VeVe can have these exclusive clubs, do all these great things, and cater to everyone else and give everyone else an amazing experience as well. So we can do what you all do, but you all can't do what VeVe does. And I think that that's what sets VeVe apart.
No, well said. I mean, when you think about it too, like people are already offering like their own side things like, hey, like I own this restaurant. You'll get like a discount if you give me OMI, or if you like, show me a collectible. People are creating clubs already, like the, like the HT3 or like the Hit Monkey Secret, yep. Like people are already doing that before you can really do it. And then VeVe also said, like, I'm always trying to remember all of the constant, like, hey, this is coming things that we get on AMAs. But they said, they will be looking at making OMI almost like a standard for an NFT token for other projects eventually, right? So the ecosystem can be built around the OMI token, as well as like the ability to use it with other projects, especially if they also looking at acquiring companies, which they've touched on in the past as well.
Yep, that's true.
And I think shout out to, I'm not sure if you've seen his site, VeVeHolic actually has, he has like some merch kind of like yours too, but I got a hat and like I saw you can spend OMI, gems, or fiat. And I was like, that's OMI utility, that's right? Sick. Like, yeah, I was like, that's brilliant. So like he is directly accepting and creating OMI utility as a user, as a fan. And like once more keep doing that, when we get some people like we have Lewis Morgan, Jim Shark, like imagine if he was just like, hey, you can buy apparel one day with OMI. Like that's all it takes.
Yep. And I think VeVe reaches so many people with this type of power. Because look at Jeremy Padawar. Imagine what he has access to that he could accept some OMI for down the line. So it's crazy. Like the people he can convince of using OMI, and it's just when you look at all their connections. Al Khan, like you have legends that's directly in the circle. People might not want to give him his credit, but they have Logan Paul in the circle. Like Logan knows like pretty much every YouTuber. He was just boxing KSI. They did videos together. So think about KSI's circle. So
he whooped KSI, right?
Nah, I think it was a draw the first time KSI won. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
he lost to KSI.
I'm pretty sure he lost. Yeah, KSI. His ego hasn't changed. So yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Awesome. Well, and then so Darren, thanks for the super chat. $2 super chat. He says, should he buy Pride or buy multiple golden moments? So I guess what he's probably asking is like buying a Pride or buying like an Elsa or a couple Elsa like Wally. What are your thoughts?
Pride or multiple, I would go go to multiple golden moments. I think Pride is going to be a great piece, and it could potentially be $1 million piece, but I think that if you get the right golden moments, then a lot of those like if you get a bunch of Mickey and Waltz like that, I think a bunch of those, if not one of those, would beat out a Pride. I think that I think that the golden moments could potentially take on a Pride easily.
It's funny is so I'm a big fan of Pride, and I think long game Pride makes the most sense, but here's why I say, like, in the not financial advice, none of it's ever financial advice, of course, but we're going to see multiple drops from Disney, right? We have Steamboat Willie coming tomorrow, and when you look at like the ebb and flow of the collectibles price, like most likely when we see like another Elsa or something like that dropped, Elsas will probably go up, right? But who knows when we'll see the next, and I want to say this right because I've gotten a lot of crap for it, Givenchy Pride. So when we could probably see something maybe again from Givenchy or other fashion brands. And then when, I think the Pride will actually do really, really well in like an open sea once they say it's okay. And we don't know if they have or have not yet, but probably not right away. So I'd say like in the short term, having multiple Disney drops would probably go up in value before the Pride really, really moons. And it's already shot up in value quite a bit. But if you're looking to flip, I would say like the golden moments are probably the way to go.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I think that the Pride, thinking about it, it is one of those pieces where it could become an NFT Mona Lisa. It's just one of those caliber pieces, and those can go for crazy amounts of money, especially. Yeah, I think that the more artwork we get like that, that could be huge. But yeah, so what I would understand more, like that's not something that I would bank on personally because I just don't understand it well enough. I don't understand art like that. I know Disney, I know the characters are like, I can wrap my head around that, but yeah. So I guess it depends on your risk tolerance, what your goal is, what you're capable of understanding. All of that plays a role.
Absolutely. And let's see, I've got 2 other questions, and we'll take some questions from the community and kind of get into it from there. But like I said, we have a bunch of new users, a bunch of new people in the community. And so what advice would, like, if you were just now starting right now, like kind of like since you've been here for 9 months plus, what advice do you have for new OMI and or investors or like VeVe collectors?
Advice for new, I think come up with a strategy. Don't just jump in doing some stuff random, buying stuff at random. That's one of the biggest things I had to learn. At one point in time, I had like 200 and something collectibles, and now I only have like 130. But my collection is far more valuable now than it was when I had 200 plus collectibles, because all collectibles are not created equal, and just having a bunch of stuff doesn't mean that it's going to be valuable stuff. So really do your research, your due diligence, come up with a strategy that you can live by and you can be comfortable with, and stick to it. I think that it's important I think that's probably the most important thing that I would say, because that's what, like I said, that's what I live by. I would rather hold certain pieces that I know is going to be super, super valuable than to try to gamble on every new drop and just collect something. Like if a secret rare, let's say, oh, this secret rare is only $600. Let me grab this secret rare, because for that same secret rare price, I would rather have an ultra rare of something else. Like Marvel Comics #1. I would rather have that ultra rare. I would pay that price, like $1,000 plus for that, before I'll pay $1,000 for some secret rare. So it's just have a strategy that you stick by. I would say so. Yeah.
That brings up another question, because I think you're kind of like me, where we definitely highlight like OMI and the collectibles a lot. But what are your thoughts on the comics? Because like I've covered like the history on comics and like what I think will do well, but we have like direct content creators where they, sleep in comics, and NFT pirates and cryptos in comics, and Dozer with the Comic Way. Like they are comic centric channels. And like, what are your thoughts on the comics? Like, do you think they're undervalued, overvalued, like how to play them?
My opinion is that they're undervalued, and I correlate them a lot to the real world. I know that some creators try to say that, oh, the NFTs, they're different. It's not about that. The fact of the matter is, I think that there's going to be thousands of comics on VeVe. So when you look at all these different comics, it's going to be like maybe 100 comics that has 100 different comics that has low mints. Are all 100 of those going to be valuable just because they have low mints? No, it's going to really come down to there's going to have to be something that determines this value. So I think the real world, the real world values and things like that, I definitely do value that, because this is stuff that's already been proven winners before already. So before I speculate on what could be, because this is the NFT space, I'd rather go have a foundation of this already works. It's already something that people love and believe in. So I think that success that it's already had is going to be amplified thanks to the NFT space. So yeah, I don't think that there is some project, like a lot of crypto projects came up out of the blue, no history, no nothing, and they start taking off. But I think the selling point of VeVe is that we don't have to do that. Like, we don't need that. We can use the history that we have because we have that history. That's our advantage. So I don't get why creators are trying to take away the one advantage that we have and say, oh no, the history doesn't matter. It's an NFT. Like, no, we have that advantage. I think that advantage is going to matter at some point. So that's my thoughts on it.
No, that's a good point. And I mean, with the comics too, it's like, we're probably not, like, most likely not going to only have Marvel comics, right? Like, maybe we could get DC comics, and I'm still a pretty big believer that we'll see digital anime or digital manga come one day too, right? So like those will help separate value too, because there'll be a different player in there as well. Like, when you look at VeVe, what's happened, what keeps happening is we don't just get like one of something, right? We get multiple of it, or different iterations of it and different brands of it. So that was a whole new product release or new product launch, right? So that product isn't only going to be most likely centric to Marvel. It's going to see other players in it, maybe even like graphic novels or some like one-off pieces that we could see that would have a lot of value too. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right with the comics are super undervalued, and they're only going to, like, the first one is, you know, obviously like a big holy grail, because it's kind of like how I think about it too is, of course, it's a big comic in general, but it's kind of like the Todd on VeVe, right? Like, it was the first comic that we saw on VeVe. And then, you know, as we continue to scale, and like, we're just going to keep going up in value. Like, there's only so many NFT projects that continue to go up in value. Usually they, you know, shoot up and then they kind of go down, and then maybe shoot up again, and then they'll kind of trend down, and a lot of stay down. But we have utility with these. We have the value of them are way up from where they were, you know, 3 months ago, and they continue to kind of move up and down, but overall they continue to move up.
Yeah, exactly. And then I expect that we're going to see some things like maybe books come at some point, more books, like maybe some Captain Underpants or something, or maybe a Charlotte's Web, like some of the OG books that everyone knows, the Harry Potters or something maybe. I think that there's a lot of different routes that VeVe can take, especially being heavily into the IP world. So, I mean, it would make sense for there to be some other NFT project that strictly focuses on books, I guess. But I'm hopeful that we could get some collector's editions of certain books and things like that in the future, where this could be used for potentially schooling. Like, if you have books like these are some of the books that I had to read growing up. And so if we have like classrooms in the VeveVerse where you can go to classroom, and then imagine like kids in the VeveVerse, you go to classroom, you have real certified teachers teaching some subject or something. Then you leave class, go to recess, you can go have fun in a Mormokono race or something, and you go to Star Trek Galaxy or something, then go back to class. Like, your recess, you can literally have a whole metaverse at your disposal. Then you just go back to class, especially at a young age. Who wouldn't want to go to school? I'd want to go to school every single day under those circumstances. So I think that we could see something like that starts to happen with these metaverses beginning to be the thing of the future.
So are you formally submitting your application to be Professor Anderson in the VeveVerse?
Nah, I'm way too toxic.
That would be a wild classroom, like, but really, really fun. Just be like, all right, all you kids are little shits, but here's what you need to hear.
I mean, it'll be a fun class for all the bad kids, but nah, like, my class would be the worst performing, the worst behaved class around.
Love it. Rob asks, you know, since we're talking about like the metaverse and all that, what do y'all think renting collectibles will look like and what they will be used for? It's a great question.
I think renting collectibles is going to be, I kind of touched on it a little bit, but like the USS Enterprise, the Star Trek ship, being able to rent this, like, let's say you don't own this, like, let's say they announced the utility for this NFT is you can go to Star Trek Galaxy, the galaxy that Star Trek is based on. You can go and travel to that planet or whatever, but you need this NFT. let's say because that is the utility, this NFT goes up substantially, the price becomes crazy where it's unaffordable, almost like a Donnie or something. So most people are never going to have it. Then you rent that for X amount of time. Now you can travel to this galaxy, go experience it and stuff like that. And that's what I think one of the biggest use cases is going to be. Like maybe maybe you want to race. Maybe there's a race where you can race in the VeveVerse, and you don't have necessarily a vehicle that could win, that has a potential to win certain races. So you want to rent someone's vehicle from them so you can go after a great opportunity. You rent the vehicle, you participate in the race, and then you're able to do that. So I think that there's a lot of different ways that renting could come in handy, and yeah, it's so many different ways. Like even books, like some of these books, like these comics are going up crazy. Like let's say that you need, like let's say we do some type of school thing and we get books here, and the books, like a Harry Potter book becomes like $1,000 or something. Like kids can't read that in class, but a $5 book that you can rent for the duration of your class, that's much more affordable. So yeah, I mean, it just depends on the VeveVerse, what features we actually have. The potential is endless though.
I complete echo of what I was thinking too. Like I've had people say why would I rent an NFT? Well, when you look at the VeveVerse, what it will be, and they've already talked about how there will be racing and all that, right? If you look at like a low mint, like maybe like an Ecto 1 or something that's going to be, maybe they only make like the ultra rares raceable, right? And there's only so many mints. And by that time, we're probably going to have, 3 million plus of users. And so what will happen is, why would I continue to sell that? Like the price will go up. So people will take, price. But if you don't want to spend, let's say at that point, like $1,000 on an Ecto 1, and instead you want to go race and try to earn OMI or bet against someone, and you just want to use it for the day, you can rent it from me for like $10, $15, or how much OMI or gems or whatever. And then that way it creates that kind of market. Or what happens if you need to actually go to like, Star Trek world or Star Wars world or whatever with a vehicle to get there, and they're going to be doing a specific drop that you have to be in that location or something like that to do. Now that means that you're exclusively only able to get there if you have that. So like if I was like swimming in gems and money right now, like if I was like a Ray Fixie, I would be scooping up proactively all of the vehicles that are cheap, because that could happen, right? And then now if I'm Ray Fixie, I have Ray Fixie's auto dealership, and I can rent out all of these different things to actually participate in things like that. So like I think renting will be huge for those who actually know how to do it.
Yep. That's a great point. That's really a great point. And that's what some people are doing. Some people are getting a ton of certain collectibles to prepare for stuff like that. And like the hoverboards is even a good one. Like that could be a big one. Like just all the vehicles, like you said, all the vehicles, and you have people out here who can gather this now, and this could be a great source of passive income. You spend all this money on it, and it's relatively cheap right now. This stuff is going to go up in value over time. And you spend this money now, and then if you can make $15 for each one you rent out, and you have 100 of them, and you renting out like 100 of them a day, it's like that's great passive income. So,
yeah, I mean that's almost like we're starting to see in some projects like the ability to like NFT stake. That's kind of like not necessarily staking because that is truly passive, but it's a way to still make additional money just by holding something, right? So you're loaning it out like you would do like a lending pool, but for the day, for the week, maybe someone wants to flex and be a Donnie for the day and run around as their avatar. Like, who knows? Like there's all different kinds of ways to really find rentable ability with them once that metaverse comes.
Yeah, I know one thing that I found interesting is Claire from the Women of VeVe. She actually said that she would just want to rent a Donnie just to have fun with them in AR for the day. And to love collectibles that much, I never thought about that aspect where for me, since I'm not a collector, it has to do something for me to rent it. But for people who love this so much that they just want to spend a day enjoying it, like that's huge too. So that could be a big selling point for some people who really love the collectibles like that.
Yeah, I mean, she takes amazing pictures. Like she has a true like artist eye of like her collectibles and the beautiful environment that she lives in. And so yeah, she would absolutely like borrow or rent a Donnie just to do so. And then same thing with the VeVeholics, the people who like build out these crazy showrooms. They would want like a Donnie for like a day or a week or whatever. If they don't want to spend the money for one, they can rent it and flex on it for that like quick, the video they're going to put out, or having people come over for the that they're throwing, and it'll have it be like that. That would be the centerpiece.
What would actually be, that makes me think, what would actually be an amazing feature on VeVe is for people like the Veveaholics who do these amazing showrooms. It would be great if you could rent something like a Donnie, build a showroom feature like based all around this Donnie, capture a very amazing picture or 3D model or something, and mint that as an NFT, a one of one, and sell that. And like everyone who's making these vaults and stuff would be able to just create their own one of one NFTs from their work. That would be sick.
That would be, so either that, that makes sense to me too. Or like, we know that we're all going to be kind of like able to hang out in our own, VeVe homes together, like come over to Cavell's house and we'll party down or whatever. But like, if you have like a movie screen or something like that, and we're watching a movie together, something like that, if you could start it off with like a preview of like, hey, look at this incredible showroom that I built out, and then have like the preview be of you designing that crazy showroom, and maybe you rented a few collectibles to make it look that legit, right?
That would be sick, sick too.
Shout out to Guitar Jams. Thank you for the super chat. Hey guys, VeVe user ID /. The new drop system will make it fair for all worldwide users, but you might get one drop a year. Rock on, Tim. Thanks, Tim, for the super chat. And so I'm stoked on the new drop system. I think it's going to make it more equitable. I think it's going to be doing away with a lot of the tips and tricks that we've learned, but it will definitely make it more of like a chance-based thing. But one drop a year, I mean, when you look at how many mints there are, and then the randomized edition, and the fact that we have like 3 to sometimes 5 drops now a week, I think you'll probably score at least one a week minimum. But we'll see how it goes. Like, they're going to continue growing in mint numbers as more come. But what are your thoughts?
I think you also like that. That's one of my biggest concerns. You also have to consider how much easier it is to bot something like this, as opposed to having somebody having a crazy clicker and things like this. That's actually pretty hard to do. Just making a bunch of accounts, farming these accounts up to meet whatever qualifications VeVe puts into place. Like literally, you could have people will sit around and just get okay, you need this amount of points to participate in drops. No matter what VeVe does, people are going to be setting up, okay, here's one account, meets the qualifications. Let me make another account, make another. You're going to have people who have like thousands of accounts that they can just sell to someone else so they can use these accounts in a bot, log in, go after these drops. And all you got to do is press a button. So let's say we have 100,000 people in a waiting room, and then you have 100,000 bots, because that's the type of bot that Google can't even stop. You have Google, you have all these people coming on every channel on YouTube. Every channel has these bots that, oh, this expert made me $20,000. Then there's a bunch of other bots that comes underneath it, leaving a whole message like, yeah, I learned from this guy too. It's amazing. Then teach me, where can I find them? Like, it says you have these bots that Google, $1 billion company, can't stop. I don't expect VeVe to be able to come anywhere close to stopping this. And that's going to be a real concern, because that is an easier form of botting. So realistically, I think that with this current system, like the current flaws in botting and stuff like that, if you have to, like, if you get sent a text message, that would slow down a lot of these bots that's happening right now. If you had to verify with a text message code, that slows a bot down. These type of bots. With, as far as all you got to do is make an account and click a button, that's I feel like you can have 1,000, 10,000 plus of those quite easily. I mean, it's going to take some work, but I feel like this is going to be a lot easier to bot. So hopefully I'm wrong, but yeah, I feel like if Google can't stop it, I don't see VeVe stopping it, especially since they can't stop what we have going on right now.
Right. Now, that's a really good point, because we've seen plenty of people who have multiple devices, right? You could have 20 devices, have 20 accounts, and then you hop in the waiting room 5 minutes before with each account. And let's say with the odds, maybe you get like, 4 drops. That's still 4 more than a lot of people missed out on. And you can sell those, flip them for, immediate ROI, and then just keep repeating the process. So that is something that, yeah, like maybe some kind of text code, or maybe if, and like I say this kind of maybe, because I'm very much a fan of the NFT world. Like, I understand the point of centralization, but if you had it tied to like IP addresses, which you could always just VPN anyways, but like there's there's little things that they'll have to kind of figure out to make this truly equitable to fight the new wave of what could be just potential attacks, because that is like a new way of botting.
Yeah, like you could make a bot. Like, let's say you can make a bot that so you have a file, it has a username or email, it has a password, and it has all the information you need. You create a bot that automatically shuffles through accounts, log them in, click that one button, and then log it out, go to the next account. And you just literally have a huge, massive list of accounts ready to do this with. You have a bot literally going through this list, entering all your collectibles into these the waiting rooms. Like, if somebody is capable of making a bot like that, it's a lot easier to do that with 1,000 accounts and put that on a computer where you log in one by one, but a bot logs in so fast, it's literally logging into dozens of accounts every minute or something, or every few seconds or something. Like that could be very hard to stop.
It could be hard though, because it does require that code go to an email, right? That you have to then punch in each account. So I think there are some measures that will help, so it isn't just like instant able to gamify it. But
for sure, yeah.
I mean, like it sounds like they're absolutely crushing on what measure they're spending tons of money on these bot protection, and I'm happy to see it. But Nike's not able to beat it, Apple's not able to beat it, Google's not able to beat it. Like, the biggest companies in the world cannot get rid of bots, but they're doing everything under the sun. And I think Dan put it eloquently when he's like, I never thought I would be putting so much money to make sure people didn't get drops, because just to stop the bots, right? So I think we'll see what happens with it, but there's definitely ways, just like how we'll adapt to new ways to make money, others will constantly adapt to find ways to scam money. And so, we'll see what happens. But shout out to Super Duper Hank for the super chat. Thanks for doing the collab. My two favorite YouTubers. Hank is an awesome member of the community. Very avid on Twitter. Appreciate you, Hank.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll take a few more questions, but one question I did, like my last kind of question for you is, you've been in the YouTube game for a long time, and you've been a successful content creator for years, like not just with VeVe, but your other channels. And so we're seeing more and more people jumping into the community who want to create content because they want to follow their passion. They have thoughts that they want to broadcast into the easiest way to get that information across, which is YouTube and Twitter. And so what advice would you have for, new content creators who are looking to join the community?
Well, I guess all the OG advice that you will find anywhere works, like consistency, stay consistent. Whatever you're going to do, make sure you do it consistently. You have people like me who's put up three plus videos a day consistently, and that's how I've grown and built my reputation. Then you have Taps, who puts up one quality video or maybe a couple here and there a day, and that's great. That, like, he has a different style. And I think that the biggest piece of advice that I can give anyone is be yourself. Don't look at other YouTubers and try to be them, because the only thing that you can bring to YouTube that nobody else can copy is yourself. I could never do what Taps does the way that he does it, because this is what he does. But I'm really good at understanding something, pressing record, and just talking. Like, I don't edit my videos. I don't know if any of you know or can even notice. I don't edit my videos. Like, literally, as long it takes me to make a video, the amount of time it takes me to click that record button, click that stop button, put it in the editing software, render it, and upload it. This is why I can put out so many videos, because all my whole key selling points of myself is just my ability to retain the information that I'm studying and learning and talk about it on the fly. Some people may not be as good at just recalling these points and talking about it and trying to do what I do. That just may not work for some people. You may forget what you were talking about, like, and I don't do double takes on my content or anything like that. So that's one of my strengths. And you have to take the time to find yourself as a YouTuber. Don't think you're just going to start out and be amazing. When I first started YouTube, I used to script, like, it may be hard to believe now, I couldn't speak like this. I used to script word by word everything that I was going to say in my videos. I scripted it. I read it from the paper. I got so good at practicing reading word for word everything that I was saying. I edited every word. Like, I would still stumble and stuff like that. So I would edit the stumbles out. Like, I edited the audio. I edited the video. I added background music, all this different stuff. I did all this stuff when I first started out. Then when I got more comfortable, I realized that, it just took me 8 hours to make this video. Then when I learned that I could actually speak like I do now, I'm like, okay, it used to take me 8 hours to make a video. Now I can make a video in 10 minutes. It's like, I'm never going back to that. So I think the biggest thing that you could do is be yourself and play to your strength, because maybe you need that 8 hours because that's just what you do best. Like Mr. Beast videos, he would never take an approach like me because he's all about super high quality, coming up with these creative, extravagant things and stuff like that. So he could never do my approach, and it's no better way of doing it. It's just what you can do best. So it's all about you. Just be yourself. Don't focus too heavily on anyone. You can get influences from people here and there. You can take some stuff from this but like, oh, I can do that well. I can take some from him, but just don't ever try to, oh, I want to be exactly like this YouTuber. Let me just do what he does. It's like, why wouldn't people just watch that YouTuber? Like, so yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. And like, there's always positivity in the community, and then there's always like little fits of negativity. And, I know like some people have hopped on, and like, I think on your Twitter spaces, you said, like some people are saying like, oh, you were trying to compete with others, but that's not, if you're looking to compete with others, you're already losing, right? Exactly. Because the way that Cavell does content is completely different from how I do content. It's completely different from how Kyle Wilson and VeVe Vault and Kay and everyone else does content. And that's actually one of the best things about this community, is that we're all able to do different content and have it relevant for everyone who is actually gracious enough to watch us, right? Because we all have different ways of thinking. It's because VeVe and Ecomi is so vast in all the content it has and its abilities, that we have probably right now like 40 different types of content creators, and you could add another 40 more, and it's not going to feel crowded, right? Like everyone's doing different content, doing it their own way. And so the other thing I would add, if you're looking to join this, community of content creators, I would say leverage us, right? Like I've picked Cavell's brain. When I first started, like I think the first person I hopped on the stream with was Kyle Wilson. Well, shout out to Kyle. And afterwards, it's like, dude, how do you make your stuff look so good? Like, how do I do this? How do I, like, what do tags mean? Like, I'd never done YouTube before this, so like I had to figure it out. And it's, unless you're working with people who've done it before you, like it's kind of hard to go alone. So it's definitely more of a collaborative approach than just being a lone wolf.
Yeah, exactly. And I think another key thing to remember is that don't always listen to the things that you hear in the comments and stuff like that. That's a key thing as well, because people are not going to understand things to the level that you can understand it. Like, for instance, reactions. If you want to start off doing reactions and reacting to other people's content, I think some of the YouTubers who are beginners and stuff like that, who don't realize actually what a reaction does for a content creator, when you create content about a creator, it pushes them throughout the algorithm. And it also, like, if you're a bigger channel than them, if you're not a bigger channel, it still boosts their channel in the algorithm. But if you are a bigger channel, then your viewers goes to their channel. So I know there's some creators who I've reacted to where I get more views than them, and they're like, all he did was steal my content. Why did he get more views? It's like, people were never there for your content, which is why I can post anything. They were there for my opinion on your content. And that's why you have to be confident and stick to what you're doing. Because you would understand certain things like this. You may understand something better than the people who don't really get it. Like, I know that there is a group of people who just thinks that you should steal content. That's all you do. But in reality, people just value my take on other people's content. And if that's your lane where you are capable of doing that, like if you're just sitting there watching somebody's video and just doing this the whole time, yeah, you're just stealing people's content. Like, don't do that. But if you're actually bringing value and bringing a perspective, it's like a conversation. It feels like a conversation, even if it's not. So yeah, I would say that, like, try different things, test different avenues, and don't, like, people will tell you, don't clickbait, never clickbait. Everybody clickbaits on YouTube, or you're just not successful. It's just, you're doing some form of clickbait or you don't make it. Mr. Beast clickbaits. Mm-hmm. Why do you think he puts like certain numbers and stuff in his titles and things like that? Everyone clickbaits. And if you have when you get to a certain point on YouTube, you actually get YouTube handlers, and they'll specifically tell you some of this stuff where, okay, you have to do this. Like, and I have a YouTube handler for my other channel. I can call somebody from Google if I want to and just ask for advice, and they will tell you, okay, you do this, you do that, you have to watch this analytic here. They'll walk you through everything. So don't listen to like new creators will be like, that one thing I noticed with new creators, they'll be like, oh, I'm never going to clickbait. Let me stand on my moral high ground. I can do this without it. And you can't. So don't listen to the people who would never understand. They don't do it. So make sure you're open to following some valuable advice.
To be 100%, like, and I'm still pretty new to YouTube. When, like, that was my perspective when I first saw, like, you and other people kind of like doing like a reaction. I was like, isn't that taking views away from that creator? But then when I heard like Daniel Lee saying like, hey, like this actually brought me X amount of subs, and then like NFT Pirates, all that, I was like, okay, like I understand how that helps their channel. It helps them like get identified from a larger channel too. So I think sometimes the perspective is, if you don't understand like how YouTube works, like something that could be, beneficial for another creator might look like it's a selfish act. So I think that's kind of where like some of the messaging gets displaced sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think that, kind of making reactions like that have value. And same thing where it's like, if you're looking to grow your channel quick, there's different levels of clickbait. Like, just like, don't straight up lie, but you can, like, I've thrown like a few, pictures. I threw a picture of Deadpool before we even had Deadpool, because I mentioned it in some context, and like someone's like, oh, you clickbaited me. And I was like, I mean, it was light, right? Like, little things like that. It's like, you attract the eye. Like if it doesn't look good or it doesn't appeal to you, you're not going to click on it, but you stay for the content, right? If it's completely out of left center or left field and like makes zero sense, and it's just straight up like, OMI's crashing to the ground, and then you don't really have any context around it, you deserve to get hate. But other than that, yeah.
And you have to think about, like, people's hearts are always in the right place when they criticize people for doing certain things. It's not that they just don't know that what they're saying is incorrect. Like, you have to think of it like this. When people say, oh, I don't invest in NFTs, I don't support NFTs because it's like you're stealing from creators. They don't understand that VeVe has like licenses and there's deals going on in the background. So are they wrong for assuming that VeVe is like every other project out here that's just taking Pokemon and posting it? And they're not wrong that happens, but it's not what's going on with VeVe. So you can't just assume the worst. Sometimes it could be that. It could be someone just out here just stealing other people's content. There's channels that just re-uploads my videos all the time. I just ignore them, but there's channels that do that. But yeah, like all things are just not bad. So I mean, people's hearts are in the right places, but you have to sometimes it's not what it may seem. So
yeah, I completely agree with that point too, because I mean, I've seen people absolutely go after us, like posting things about, our VeVe NFTs and like saying how it's bad for the environment, all that. And like, it's just a lack of education sometimes, and like just re-educating. And we can battle back with anger, or we can focus on education. And sometimes like they don't care. Like they just have a viewpoint, and like, that's what it is. And good luck. Like when Ubisoft had that post about like, hey, we're entering NFTs and here's what we're doing, like 60% of it was negative and calling them sellouts and all that, and like talking negative about NFTs. And then I dropped some, like, they're like, oh, like it's the biggest waste of energy, blah, blah. I dropped some knowledge on like what Christmas lights do for energy versus NFTs, and then like carbon neutrality. And like some were like kind of interested, but most were still negative. So like that mentality, like the ability to change, it's not an overnight thing. But yeah, I think those are some really good points for like new creators. Like definitely have tough skin. This is not an easy side gig. You can make more money doing Uber and Lyft than you can starting this off, but it's a passion project, and it definitely takes time. But we're all better off for engaging the community to do so. But shout out to Reslone for the $5 super chat. Hey Cavell, name 10 Pokemon names. Go.
Charizard, Bulbasaur, Squirtle. Is it cheating if I just say War Turtle, Blastoise, Ivysaur, Venusaur, Pikachu, Zapdos, Mewtwo, Mew.
You're over. Crushed it. Pokemon Master. Paint Life, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Y'all made my day. Straight up. Best move for this collab by far. Make you next move your best move. Let's go. Appreciate all the value y'all consistently bring to everyone. Your perspective is fire, dude. Thanks so much. Like, I love it when people like just, super chat or not, like just positive content, the comments and all that you guys bring in here. Like we're only as valuable as how valuable you guys make us. Like if you find value in the content and the words that we're putting out there, like in the research we put in, it's only as valuable as the value that you're receiving. And so we only know that when you tell us, right? So shout out to all you guys for being in here and for liking the video and for supporting me and Cavell and everyone else in the community, because, you know, we're better off because of you guys.
Exactly.
Guitar Jams, thanks for the $50 super chat. Cavell's YouTube game is strong. Taps, you're one of the guys that got me hooked on VeVe, so split this, guys. Love it. I'll have to buy a VeVe beanie or something. All right, let's take like one or two more questions, and then we'll wrap up this stream. Let's see. Shout out to the Gale for being here. Gale's OG too.
Yeah, for sure. YouTube can be pretty rewarding. Definitely.
Smart words. The move you make now will determine you the road you will take unknowingly. Well said, man.
That's true.
Is that where? We're all metaversing right now, and every one of these comments and all your thoughts on them are not physical either. That's, yeah, pretty much. But I mean, imagine how much more fun it'll be to have these conversations or do a live stream when we're in like the VeveVerse. Like to do it, someone earlier put like TapsTrades Center in Cavell Anderson Arena or something like that. And I was like, that's awesome, man. Like when you could actually like stream on something like in the VeveVerse, like whether we're wearing AR equipment or we're even on like a desktop, like being able to do this kind of stuff in that kind of format, like think about how much better it would look to put that on YouTube or to just directly do it in there and have like little exclusivity in our own like little world that we'll be in too.
Yep, that would be sick.
Let's see. Any other questions? If not, we'll wrap it up. Oh, hello, Kay. Super chat. Ask Cavell if he will miss drops like Kripkins. I put a Kripkin on the thumbnail specifically because to date, that was 100% my favorite video of all of the hundreds of videos you've done is where you got so frustrated with the Kripkins. You're like, I don't even want these little shits. And then you're like, all right, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get these Kripkins.
Yo, that was when I was just getting into it. I wanted it, but then I'm like, okay, let me convince myself I don't want it. But then, yeah, I had to get it, man. I'm definitely going to miss the fun that we had with this drop system. This is definitely this is a historic thing, but I think that those memories are more valuable now that we're changing as well. We're changing because we can always look back on that. Yo, remember when this was the drop system? Now we have this one where most people are going to be missing drops a lot. So yeah, it's great to be able to look back on stuff like that. So yeah.
Those early drops were the most frustrating ever, where you had to like stick on your phone for an hour and you're not even sure if you got it. Like those were absolutely terrible, but it was really fun in the beginning because we're like, I remember you're like, what are these things? Like, you're like, I'm not going to go for them. And then come drop day, you're like, and that was like right when I was like, the addiction's real for all of us. Like we've seen some drops where I was like, I don't really care about this, but I go for every single drop. Like I'm always stoked when I land one. LOL surprise dolls. When we get those, like I'm not collecting dolls, but I'm going to be going for those drops. Like
exactly. I think VeVe has a way of doing that to you. It's just, it draws you in. It draws you in and it makes you have some attachments to these things because it's more than just the drop itself. It's the time period and everything that's going on around the time that you're securing these drops. So when I think back to the Kripkins drop, it makes me appreciate things now because we had like 100,000 people then, maybe less, around the Kripkins drop. And the app was lagging and doing all type of weird stuff at that time. And fast forward, now the times that the app gets shaky is because we have 2 million downloads and a million people active and stuff like that. So it's like just how far VeVe has come in this short amount of time. It's amazing. Like the problems that we have now, going from not being able to handle 100,000 people to being able to handle millions in this period, it's amazing. So yeah,
absolutely. I'm gonna answer this one real quick. Thank you for the super chat, Lucci. Taps, Aerith, or Tifa? Whew. So are you asking like playable, like who I played in Final Fantasy VII, or who do I think is who would be my girl in Final Fantasy VII? If it's playable, 100% Tifa, because Aerith was, I mean, you got your healing, and like I was just not a fan of Aerith, and was kind of happy when what happened. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII, it is one of my favorite games, and you'll find out what happens. But Tifa was like pretty solid of a player. And then I'd answer the same when it comes to like, if I was Cloud, which girl would I want to be like my girlfriend? Tifa, 100%. She was dope. What about you? Did you play Final Fantasy VII?
Nah, I didn't make it all the way through. I never actually finished a Final Fantasy. I always played it, but I never finished it. I love the games. I feel like I like watching other people play more than I like playing myself.
Yeah, I mean, I still have RPGs, like all the like Final Fantasy 2 and 3, like on Super Nintendo. Like I grew up, single child, and when I could get a game, I would like rent, and I loved RPGs because if I couldn't hang out with my friends because it's too dark, whatever, like I'd play RPGs because it didn't have to be, multiplayer, and I could play with RPG. Like, so I love all the RPGs in Final Fantasy. So yeah, big fan of those. But this is a good question from Philippe. Your thoughts on Fortnite has over 700 developers. First idea and trailer were 2011 to 2012. GTA Rockstar has over 1,000 developers, 4 to 5 years development. First trailer 3 years before release. VeveVerse, we saw just one pick of the showroom. So I think a lot of the things that people kind of mix a lot is like those are all gaming companies, very much, like that's what is required to build those out. But VeVe is not a gaming company, right? And when it comes to the VeVe Verse, it will have some gamification, but not necessarily like a full storyline arc of what's going to need to build out into a gaming verse. And our collectibles have already been rendered, and they have been rendering and working on the VeVe Verse for quite some time now. But also, the team is X amount big, but that doesn't mean that they're not outsourcing on current collectibles as well as the VeVe Verse, right? So they're making a killing. You don't think they can't put some of that money towards outsourcing to some of these companies who already know how to do it stronger and better to build out that world?
Exactly. Exactly. Epic Games actually has a whole little community of developers and people who use their platforms and stuff like that. So all it takes is VeVe reaching out to some of them, bringing some of them on, hiring some of them, or just like you never like they're not supposed to be moving like a gaming company. VeVe is not. They just should not. And I don't think the expectation should be there that they should do the same thing a gaming company would do, because realistically, a metaverse is not a game. It's not a metaverse. Fortnite, while Fortnite is considered a metaverse, Fortnite is not a metaverse. Fortnite is a game, and there is a difference between a metaverse and something like Fortnite. GTA is actually closer to a metaverse, but even GTA isn't really a metaverse. It's a game. So there's a difference, and I think that there is going to be big reveals when games within the VeVe metaverse, when they release a game eventually down the line, maybe 5 so years from now, whatever, we could see a reveal like that for a game within the VeVe verse. And I think that's like the difference. Like VeVe could literally partner with Fortnite in the future to have that as one of the gaming experiences in the VeVe verse, as opposed to Fortnite. Fortnite is really just its own game and has its own little community based around its game. So
yep, 100%. Thank you for the super chat, MCSO hype. All right, we've been going strong for almost 2 hours, but I mean, this has been great. Like I always enjoy like the insight that you bring, like the content you put out. Cavell is amazing. I think most people know where to find you, but I'll pull it up on screen. But as I do that, what are some, I guess, final thoughts that you have for the community?
I think that just maybe patience, patience, really believing that we're going to get to where we're going to go, really appreciate the team and all the things that they bring to the table. I know that sometimes the narrative about me gets spun and twisted as if the majority of my content isn't positive, but the fact is I appreciate everything that the team does. They do an amazing job most of the time, and when they do slip up here and there, they do correct. So kind of give them leeway and really understand that even though things may not be going at the speed that we would all want it to go at, they're doing a beautiful job, and really consider the things that they have done and accomplished. And I know a lot of people may not have been here when they was lagging with 60 to 100,000 users, and the experience was terrible. Like the experience was worse than it's been when we had 1 million users and it was messing up. So yeah, for them to come such a long way, you have to appreciate that. And I know that you may not appreciate that if you weren't there during that time, but kind of like get educated on those times, talk to some OGs and learn that, they've come a long way. These problems are problems we would have loved to have back then, like instead of what we did have. So yeah.
Well said. And couldn't echo that more. Like we're still growing, and a lot of the pains that we had back then are not here anymore, but there's always new pains, and it's just a matter of patience, right? Like everyone's making money in VeVe, and it's just a matter of time until we make, what we know we'll make with OMI as investors. And I'm happy to see that, there's people like yourself who are putting out content and everyone else in the community. But what's funny is on the thumbnail, I had like an inner debate. Like I put like the picture of you and like the picture of me that I always put, but I actually wanted to make like a picture like this one and like put that one of you and like me on the other side. Like I should have gone that route. Maybe the next one, but I was like, oh, I didn't have time to make it, but I love that one. And you're like,
I would have sent you that. Yeah. Like that would have been great.
I love it. Well, thanks so much, Cavell. Where can people find you?
I mean,
if they don't already.
Yeah, Cavell Anderson. I'm on YouTube, Cavell Anderson on Twitter. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. I definitely appreciate it. I respect you and the content that you do and everything that you bring to the community as well. I love watching your content. So yeah, I definitely appreciate being able to come on and talk to you for a little bit and talk to the community and share some of our thoughts together. So definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Thanks everyone for hopping in here, hearing us chat it out, and throwing in comments and putting in your 2 cents as well. So Cavell, it's been awesome. Thanks so much, man. And I'll see you in the comments.
Yeah, see you soon.
Later, bud.
Later.